The step-by-step process of doing the home inventory is based on our experience as insurance adjusters. Over the years, we have learned how to document a home properly so that when you have a claim, the insurance will pay the maximum amount for that claim. When we go into a home, we want to document the home in its pristine condition, the way it was before anything happens to it, before you have a fire or a hurricane or a robbery. We want to make sure we capture all of the things of value that are in your home as they are in the condition they were in. We start off with our 360-degree camera coming in and going room by room and taking a photo of each of the rooms in a 360-degree camera angle, which gives us what the floors look like, what the ceilings look like, what the walls look like. And basically you can see the entire room as you circle it as though you were standing in the room. We take all these pictures throughout the entire house, and then we stitch them all together to create a virtual tour. Once we create that virtual tour, we can go back and walk through the house just as if we were in there, and you can go back and walk through the house just as you were in there. This allows us to see everything that we need to see in case we want to review it, or also if you need to present it to somebody else. The second part is we go and do a detailed documentation of each room. And we take photos. When we take the photos, we're doing it by each wall, but we're also taking the measurements for your countertops, for your cabinets, for the space that's in there so that we know exactly what is in that room and what the dimensions of those items are. We also are looking at the materials that they were made with, the flooring, the countertop, cabinets, all of those. We're looking at them so that we get the quality of the items that are in those rooms. That way, again, you're getting the maximum value when we're creating a valuation of your property. Once we complete all of that, we send it back to our home office for review. And our home office then goes through each of the rooms and goes through the virtual tour and puts together an initial inventory of the items that are in each of those rooms. It's a high-level inventory where we look at everything that is larger in that room. We try to target items that are over $500 to make sure that we have everything that needs to be documented in the home, at least accounted for. We then come back to you and review those with you, as well as discuss items that we didn't see in those photos. For example, things that are in cabinets or things that are in drawers, such as jewelry, collections, artwork, anything that might be of value, because we would want to come back and do a detailed documentation for those items, where we actually come out, we have a little photo booth that we create, that we have everything that we can put in and take individual photos of those items over $500. If they're larger items, we take them just as they are. And we make sure to get the measurements and different critical items to identify what the value of that item is. If any of those items also potentially can get higher valuations as they get older, such as artwork or collections, we have an appraisal service that we can then get some additional documentation to send out to our appraisers, and you'll get a certified appraisal for what the value of that item is today. So if artwork has gone from, let's say, $10,000 to $100,000, you'll have that information based on a certified appraisal. And we get a certificate that goes with that for each of those items we do. There are common misconceptions about home inventory that a lot of people don't really understand. They think if they just take a picture of an item, that's enough information for insurance purposes or for estate planning purposes. And the reality is there's a lot of other information that has to be collected at the time to make sure that we know exactly what the value of that item is. In fact, in many cases, we have to research those items even after the fact to determine and show comparable items that are the same value. This is especially true when they have something called replacement cost value, which is RCV, which means how much would it cost to actually replace that item. Obviously, if you bought it 10 years ago, it's not going to cost what it cost 10 years ago. It's going to cost what it costs today. So sometimes we have to research that information to give you a true value for that item, especially if you have replacement cost value in your policy. So when we document, we don't just take photos, we take measurements. We also identify what is the condition of that item. Is it new? Is it average? Is it in great condition? Is it in excellent condition? These things actually come into play as well. And then we also need to know, how much did you pay for it when you paid for it? What is the age of that item? How long ago did you get it? And then we need to know the manufacturer, if there's a manufacturer or a brand, or if it's a piece of artwork, who signed it? Is it authentic? So any authentication documentation that is required, we would have to have that information. So sometimes it's even where that item came from. If you bought it in Europe versus if you bought it in the United States, it might have a different value. So all of these things we take into account when we're documenting the items in your home. And the problem is that if you don't document this and something happens, You have a flood, it hits your house. I went to a client's house who had 4 feet of water in their house. If you could imagine having 4 feet of water of your house, what would be left? If you're like most people, not much, because what happens when you have 4 feet of water in your house is that everything gets ruined. And then the people that come in to clean up and dry out your house will take all of those items and throw them in a big pile in the front yard. Now, when we go to document the items, it's too late. And because it's too late, it's all in a pile, and we're trying to take a picture of an item and try to figure out where it's from and what's the quality of it and what it's like. And all I have is a pile of junk in the front lawn. Makes it almost impossible. So it's really a difficult time to document, and it's really difficult to get any real value after the fact. So it's always better to do these things beforehand so that you're prepared in case something bad goes.